All about these weather patterns, and good morning again.
Good morning,
Thanks
Mary.
so much for being with us.
Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about what weather patterns we can expect to see in the couple of weeks, because we're seeing a little bit of dip in temperatures, but that's kind of unusual for the valley.
Yeah, November's when we first see days like this. When I first moved down here, we had a week where we had a few cloudy days and it felt nice, you know, comfortably cool, not so hot, not too cold yet. We'll get back into the warm pattern. We think November will end up being above the average, which we've been for most of the month so far. We'll turn back to that later in the month. And then we'll have to see how the winter plays out. We're thinking it's going to end up being a little bit warmer than what we expect normally, which is temperatures, instead of being low 70s and night times in the low 50s, probably mid 70s and mid 50s on average. Now, what does that mean? That means that there'll be days that'll be in the 80s, and that means there'll be days that'll be colder. And when I mean cold, it could be in the 40s and 50s during the daytime, and possibly down as low as the freezing point at night. So we think there'll be one or two freezes where you'll have to cover your plants, and the growers will have to deal with taking care of things like the citrus crop and the sugar. But we're not expecting a killing freeze like we had back in 1983 and 1989. That said, in 2011, a year that we had a similar atmospheric pattern to what we're thinking this winter, we did get that one opportunity for an ice storm, and that was in early February. So it's hard to do down here to make that happen, but we have to keep an eye on that potential. And if you're a driver, you need to be ready to be prepared on how to drive in it if you want to drive at all.
And you know, hurricane season is wrapping up. November 30th is the last day. Do we have anything to fear here in the valley? What are you looking at? No,
our hurricane season in Texas tends to end around the 1st to 15th of October. And this was no exception. The wind shear that tears up hurricanes reaches Texas coast first before it reaches the East Coast, which is why Sandy was able to happen and mix in and become this big superstorm. It was a hurricane at first and remained a hurricane for quite a while. The Atlantic coast can see that in October. We've seen it in the past, not as much in Texas, and by November we're definitely done.
So we're good to go right now. No, nothing really to fear when it comes to hurricanes, but obviously still a lot of relief to be done across the nation. A lot of people coming forward to help those Hurricane Sandy victims. And actually, we're going to toss it over to Victoria because she's actually hoping to get some donations and some relief for those people needing it the most.